Let's start by knocking out the boring stuff first and talk about Manager of the Year. For the first American League finalist, I have Mark Kotsay of the Athletics. This choice is highly contingent on the A's doing better than expected, and I believe they will. This is a team that plays hard even if they are a little talent deficient versus the best teams, and this is a great reflection on Kotsay. If they can win over 80 games to compete for a playoff spot, Kotsay will definitely be in consideration for Manager of the Year. Next, I have Aaron Boone of the New York Yankees. I believe the Yankees are the best team in the American League on paper and will wind up winning the AL East. That alone will get Boone consideration for Manager of the Year, but throw in that they lost a star player from last season in Soto and still finish well should give him a very good chance at winning the honor. My pick for winner of American League Manager of the Year is someone from a team that is not getting enough hype in my opinion. I have this team not only winning their division, but also winning the American League. And my pick is Matt Quatraro of the Kansas City Royals. I really think highly of this team, which has a nice mix of young talent and veterans along with great starting pitching. Quatraro handles all of those dynamics very well, and I think this is the year he pushes all the right buttons to take this team to another level. For the National League, my first finalist is Brian Snitker of the Atlanta Braves. First, I think this team is very strong and will win their division, which is not an easy task with the competition in the NL East. That will bode well for Snitker's chances of winning the award, but also factor in how he handled the team last year. In my opinion, he was Manager of the Year last year with how he and the Braves managed the constant bad luck and injuries that were thrown their way while still making the playoffs. For the next finalist, I have Terry Francona of the Cincinnati Reds. This is, of course, very conditional on the Reds exceeding everyone's expectations. I do think this team is capable of competing for the playoffs. Everyone knows Tito is a great manager with a wonderful history of success, including 17 winning seasons out of his 23 as a manager. If the Reds wind up having a great year, their manager will not be overlooked as a main reason for their success. He has won Manager of the Year 3 times previously, and this Reds team could have the type of breakout year that would give him number 4. My pick for National League Manager of the Year is Craig Counsell of the Chicago Cubs. I believe the Cubs will have the largest improvement in wins versus last year for any team in the National League, minus maybe the Dodgers. That is a nice stat to put on your resume when trying to win Manager of the Year, and factor in that the Cubs likely win the NL Central, and I believe will compete in the NLCS to only fall short. However, a division title, large improvement in wins, and a trip to the NLCS should be enough to lock this up for Counsell. Let's move on to Rookie of the Year. For the first American League finalist, I have Jackson Jobe of the Detroit Tigers. I don't think it will take too long to find him a spot on the roster. He had 2024 combined minor league stats of a 2.36 ERA with 96 strikeouts over 91 and 2/3 innings. He only had a few innings at AAA, but the consensus is he is ready. Jobe has a fastball that can peak at 100 miles an hour and a split change that plays well off the fastball. He will be stepping into a situation where the Tigers are a good team that could compete for the division, and that should help him rack up wins and make a case for Rookie of the Year. He will also have great teachers in Skubal and Flaherty to help him get his footing when he first arrives. Next, I have Kumar Rocker of the Texas Rangers. He has ascended quickly through the minor leagues, going from rookie ball to AAA in 2024 with combined stats of 1.96 ERA with 55 strikeouts and 36 and 2/3 innings. Rocker has a fastball that sits at 96, but can hit 99, and coupled with a hard sinker that has good arm side run and a slider that can be pinpoint. Looking at the Rangers' back end of the rotation, it should not take long for Kumar to crack the big leagues. Factoring that the Rangers will have one of the better lineups and should score a bunch of runs, Rocker could accumulate a lot of wins as long as the bullpen does not blow it. I think the only thing that could stand in the way of Rocker being on the top of the list of Rookie of the Year would be if the Rangers decide to play it slow and give him more innings in the minors before moving him up. Winning the American League Rookie of the Year, I have Jason Dominguez of the New York Yankees. He did have a slow start to the majors his brief time in 2024 with only 56 at-bats, but his combined 2024 minor league stats were a .314 average and an .880 OPS. I'm making this pick since I think this is the perfect storm for a Rookie of the Year. First is that he's going to get playing time right away by being the Yankees' starting left fielder. Next, he's a switch hitter, which means more times than not he will be batting left-handed, and in Yankee Stadium, even average left-handed hitters can look good due to the wind tunnel out to right field, and Jason is going to be better than average. Lastly, factor in that he plays for the Yankees, so in terms of media attention and dormant, he will have a leg up on everyone else. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, as I believe he will be good, but I do think he will have things going for him to win this award that others won't. Moving to the National League, I have Dylan Cruz of the Washington Nationals as the first finalist. I think he has a little bit of everything as he has power, speed, and a good arm from the outfield. He did struggle a little in 2024 when called up, hitting only .219, but I think that will change this year. Given that he has some major league at-bats under him now, I think his ability will really start to show. Remember, this is someone who only has a little over 500 minor league at-bats to his name, so the slow start last year should not be that shocking. His acclimation to the big leagues should be helped by playing in a lineup with another budding star in James Wood, so I expect him to ascend quickly in 2025. I have Matt Shaw of the Chicago Cubs as the runner-up. He should get a lot of playing time this year, one way or the other, on a Cubs team that looks to be ready to take off. Shaw's combined 2024 minor league stats were extraordinary as he had an .867 OPS with 21 homers, 71 RBIs, and that was all in only 443 at-bats. He also stole 31 bases, so he will be a menace every time he gets on, which is often given his .379 on-base percentage. I think it will fit nicely into this Cubs lineup, which I expect to overperform this year. That will give Shaw plenty of opportunities to hit with men on base and put up some stats. Winning the National League Rookie of the Year, I have Roki Sasaki of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I know this pick is no fun as it's everyone's pick to win, but that is for good reason. He has been called the Japanese Paul Skeens, and it appears to have the pitches to back up those lofty expectations. The fastball sits at 100 and has hit 102, and is paired with a psychotic splitter that sits in the low 90s. The splitter has been recorded as dropping as much as 30 inches and is Sasaki's best pitch. He also utilizes a slider, which is no slouch, and would be other pitchers' best pitch, yet it's clearly his tertiary pitch. Factor in all his talent and combine that with the lineup and the bullpen the Dodgers have, and he could win 20 games as a rookie. Injuries are always a concern when you throw this hard, but if he stays healthy for a full season, he will at least flirt with 20 wins and could be someone we are talking about at the end of the year for not just Rookie of the Year, but also for Cy Young. Let's move on to the American League Cy Young. My first finalist is Framber Valdez of the Houston Astros. I originally was going to have Grayson Rodriguez of the Orioles here, but he will start the season on the IL. Valdez was 15-7 with a 2.91 ERA last year with 169 strikeouts and 176 and one-third innings. The last few years he has been very consistent with an ERA no higher than 3.45 since the 2020 COVID season. I have some concern that the Astros as a team will be taking a step back from previous seasons as they no longer have Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman, while having a starting outfield that could be the weakest in baseball if you don't count Altuve as a left fielder. This will drastically reduce run support for Valdez, which should cost him a couple wins. I see him having a season where his ERA is south of 3, but he does not win 15 games, which limits his chances of winning the award. For the runner-up, I have Tarik Skubal of the Detroit Tigers. Barring injury, this is a no-brainer finalist as he truly is one of the best pitchers in the game. Going 18-4 with a 2.39 ERA last year with 228 strikeouts and 192 innings. The Tigers should be competitive again this season with a decent lineup giving him a chance to rack up wins. The lineup will score more runs than last year as Kerry Carpenter and Colt Keith, while good, should be even better. The only reason Skubal might not win the Cy Young this year is if voters don't want a back-to-back winner. Winning the American League Cy Young, I have Bryce Miller of the Seattle Mariners. Miller was 12-8 last year with a 2.94 ERA. He has no shortage of pitches with a 95-mile-per-hour heater, sinker, split finger, sweeper, slider, and a knuckle curve. Playing in Seattle half the time will help him immensely, and I see his ERA dropping further with another year of experience under his belt. The issue is, and why this is a little of an off-the-wall risky pick, is that his team will do him no favors. The Mariners only averaged 4.17 runs per game last year and an even less 3.77 at home. The lack of run support will hinder Miller and any other Mariners pitcher that vies to win this award, which is most of the rotation. I'm going with him here because I got a hunch that he has a really good season, but the offensive struggles of the team do not favor him racking up a lot of wins. Moving on to the National League, the first finalist that I have is Corbin Burnes of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Fresh off of signing the 6-year, $210 million contract, I expect another great year from him. His ERA each season from 2020 on is 2.11, 2.43, 2.94, 3.39, and 2.92. That is a great model of consistency, which I expect him to continue this season and at least for 2 more. His strikeouts have decreased, as many have mentioned, from 234 and 242 in 2021 and 2022 to 200 and 181 in 2023 and 2024. However, he is still a consistent innings eater with 193 plus innings in each of his last 3 seasons. I think he has a very similar year statistically to last year, which definitely puts him in the Cy Young mix. My runner-up is Yoshi Yamamoto of the Los Angeles Dodgers. There is some injury concern with him as he did have a triceps injury which led to surgery in 2024. He was still 7-2 with a 3 ERA, so if he can stay healthy, a full year of pitching with this Dodger team around him could lead to huge numbers. I expect around 170 innings pitched, with well over 200 strikeouts, and knocking on the door of 20 wins in 2025. For the year that I think he is going to have, it would win the Cy Young a vast majority of the time. But there is a certain someone who, if he stays healthy, could very likely put up numbers we haven't seen in a while. So my Cy Young pick for the National League, which is no shocker, is Paul Skeens of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I do have a concern with injuries, as anyone who throws as hard as he does and is a starter is susceptible to elbow issues. If he does make it through the year unscathed, I likely think we see tremendous pitching stats that we have not seen for some time. I will put the caveat in here that the Pirates can't hit for shit, scoring only 4.1 runs per game, which was only 24th last year. Their bullpen is also a weak point and is weaker after losing Chapman. If Bednar does not have a bounce-back year, there will be some games where Skeens should have gotten a W and will end up with a no decision. But with all that aside, the talent of Skeens is just too much not to win this. Last year, he was 11-3 with a 1.96 ERA, with 170 strikeouts in only 133 innings. His strikeout-to-walk ratio was a fantastic 5.3. I think he improves this year as he learns to pitch more instead of throw, and I can see an ERA in the high ones with 250-plus strikeouts. Again, there is an injury concern and the lack of talent around him, but all signs point to he will do stratospheric things this season. Now on to American League MVP. The first finalist is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have not handled the situation well, and it goes deeper than just the last few months. They should have agreed to an extension a few years ago and would have saved themselves a lot of money. They should have been more flexible with arbitration rather than going to hearings in 2022 and 2023, which is something I'm sure Vlad has not forgotten about. All of this, plus already being past Vlad's personal deadline for a deal, makes me think that this is his last year in Toronto, even if he does say that he wants to stay. Knowing that this will be a contract year and that the free agent market has been reset by Ohtani and Soto, Vlad will have a monster year with big money right around the corner. My runner-up for American League MVP is Gunnar Henderson of the Baltimore Orioles. He is a superstar in the making that is only 23 years old that hit .281 with 37 homers and 92 RBIs last year and had a 9.1 WAR. He is capable of making eye-popping plays defensively with a truly gifted arm. He stole only 21 bases last season, but he has a sprint speed of nearly 30 feet per second, so he's capable of much more. He should get better and better over the next few years as he goes into his prime and is easily a 40-40 candidate. My American League MVP is Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals. There's nothing not to like about Witt as he hits for average, power, steals bases, and doesn't strike out at an alarming rate. He hit .332 with 32 homers, 109 driven in, and an OPS of .977 with a 9.4 WAR in 2024. Add in 31 steals and a Gold Glove, and he is just a do-it-all player. It's hard to top those numbers, but I think he does repeat them and wins the MVP this year. Another reason why I think it will be Witt Jr.'s year to win is that the Royals will have a great season. I know I'm in the minority, but I believe the Royals will do great things this year with winning the AL Central along with winning the American League pennant. The team being one of the league's best will only help his MVP case. At this point, I'll bring up why I don't have Aaron Judge in the top 3. I'm not saying he will have a bad year or will drop off considerably because he will again put up great numbers. The difference, though, will be this year he will have Cody Bellinger batting in front of him instead of Juan Soto. This will lead to a lot less RBI opportunities and will also lead to pitch rounds of Judge that should suppress his stats, at least somewhat. I expect him to walk close to 175 times, which will lower his home run and RBI totals. He will still have an excellent season, but I think will be used against him that his numbers decrease from 2024, and others will be voted ahead of him. Moving on to the National League, my first finalist is Francisco Lindor of the New York Mets. This is an odd pick since if the Mets do well, it will probably be Soto who gets the attention, but Lindor I see putting up better numbers and also has a defensive pedigree to use to his advantage. He had a tremendous year last year, batting .273 with 33 homers, 91 RBIs, 29 steals, and an OPS of .844. I expect these numbers to easily be surpassed due to the fact that Soto will now hit behind him in all likelihood. Lindor will not get pitched around or have to chase anything, as he is smart enough to know, with the top trio in that lineup, and add in Vientos batting fourth, that he will see a lot of strikes since pitchers can't risk walking him. I think 40 homers even at Citi Field is possible, and I expect him to lead the league in runs scored. My runner-up for National League MVP is Elly De La Cruz of the Cincinnati Reds. This pick is dependent on the Reds doing well, since if the Reds go the way of their PECOTA projection, I don't think Elly gets much love. If the Reds have a breakout season, then more attention will be placed on the team, and Elly will be at the forefront of that fame. Either way, I think Elly will have not what I call a breakout year, as he has had good seasons already, but one of those years where he jumps into another tier. Last year he hit .259 with 25 homers and 76 driven in with an .809 OPS. However, he will have to reduce the strikeouts for this prediction to come to pass, as 218 last year was way too many. If he does cut down the strikeouts down to, say, 150, that should jump his batting average at least 25 points and create more stolen base opportunities. My MVP pick for the National League is Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is not a fun pick, as it's not an off-the-wall, and it's highly expected. I just don't see anyone outdoing him as long as he stays on the field. I don't think he replicates the 310, 54 homer, 130 RBI, 59 steals season from a year ago, but add in some level of pitching performance, and I think he's a cinch to repeat. His last 3 full seasons of pitching, he had an ERA of 3.18, 2.33, and 3.14. I agree with the analysts in that I don't expect him to pitch a ton this season, but I do think he makes at least 10 to 15 starts and pitches to a 3 ERA. Even if his stat line is something like 45 home runs, 110 RBIs, 35 steals, and then pitches to a 7-2 record with a 3 ERA, he will win the MVP, and all of those numbers are much less than what he is capable of doing. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, as I will have future videos discussing best lineups and pitching rotations, bold predictions, weekly previews, and power rankings. Thank you for watching until the end, and until next time, happy baseball.